$7 million for a 30-second spot. The cost of a commercial at the Super Bowl hit an all-time high. Professor Derek Rucker from the Kellogg School of Management at Northwestern University is here to discuss the best and the worst. Welcome, sir. Glad to have you with us.
Pleasure.
Let's get right to it. The first commercial is from Uber Eats.
Wait, if it was delivered with Uber Eats, does that mean I can eat it?
It says eat.
It's a diaper.
I mean, is Jennifer Coolidge ever not funny? Gwyneth Paltrow also making a cameo there. So what do you like about this commercial?
Yeah, so what we're doing is when we're evaluating these ads, we're kind of looking at them from a business perspective and saying, does it build the brand? And what we loved about this is two things. First, you see the brand throughout the entire thing. You see some clever placement of the product bag. But the other thing is it's giving you an introduction to other things you can use Uber Eats for. And so what makes a lot of sense there is this idea of like, hey, look, we deliver even more. That's a sound business move.
Next up, Planters.
Why do you eat mixed nuts one at a time?
Why do you eat them all together?
If only you were as selective with your rolls as you are with your nuts.
Hey, here's a thought. Why don't I just get you a feed bag?
They're called mixed nuts. You're supposed to mix them.
Internet.
How do you like your mixed nuts? One at a time?
Or all together the right way.
Sent.
Like anyone's gonna care.
So the number one question here, Mr. Rucker, are you a one-at-a-time person or an all-together person?
You know, I think I'm more of a one at a time, but I actually think I might go both ways in some cases.
You know what? I think I'm there with you. So, you know, here we are poking a little bit of fun at a divided society right now. Why is this commercial effective?
So I think it does two things really nice. So the first thing is, of course, it's all about the brand, right? Like I can't have a conversation about this commercial without bringing the brand. What's it about? It's about debate on how to eat Planters mixed nuts. I think the other thing it does really well is it takes something what seems very trivial and gets you to think about like, hey, people do have different preferences. Just like you and I said, wait, what is our preference?
Wrapping up the best now, Doritos with a little bit of salt and pepper in the soundtrack. So what is it that I thought we were going to hear it, but what do you like about this ad, aside from the song, obviously?
Yeah, so it had salt and pepper, but what was great about it is, again, you see the brand is very central. It's consistent with the brand's equity. It's showing you how the animals react to the flavoring of it. And it's one of those things where when we look at commercials, we don't want to be just entertained. That's a great outcome in part, but we also want it to be about the brand. And like, this is, again, a Doritos commercial. It's not an animal commercial.
So now we transition to the worst commercials. We're going to start out with Taco Bell breaking out of Clown University. Why was this a fail for you?
Yeah, you know, and I like a lot of Taco Bell's work, but the problem is this commercial could have been for almost anyone. And so the fact that we talk about it as Taco Bell, I only know that because I knew that we were going to talk about it. It doesn't have a lot of branding behind it. And as you can see right now, like we still haven't even seen the brand in it. And so that's one of those ones where you wonder, for the average consumer, are we going to really remember it was a Taco Bell spot?
Well, what about the Salesforce commercial? I believe that was the one with Matthew McConaughey, this you know, space age entry point here. What makes this one ineffective?
Kind of bring up to the task like, hey, let's think about what we're doing here, not like worry about everything else and, you know, all this metaverse stuff. I think the problem here is you could basically put any brand at the end of this, right? So there's nothing that tells us this is a Salesforce ad. It's not until the very end where you go, Salesforce, like, oh wow, that's a disconnect for us.
You still have to Google what does Salesforce do at the end of it.
That too.
Yeah, so last one here, we want to talk about Coinbase. This one generated a lot of chatter, this bouncy QR code, not a whole lot else. That is a very expensive QR code, and all for the app to crash.
Yeah, so there are two things on that one too. So I think one is like, you know, hats off to trying something pretty risky, which is like, we're going to go as simple as possible. I think there is the secondary issue though, like you got to be ready for the volume you might get. And I think what's interesting is this draws some attention to the idea of crypto. And of course, that was a theme this year's Super Bowl. But how are brands actually going to get consumers to convert to actually investing, and how will they differentiate? I think that's a big unknown following this year's Super Bowl ads.
Always a fun segment for us. Professor Derek Rucker from Northwestern University, thanks so much for being with us. We appreciate it.
A pleasure. I love talking about ads any day, anytime.
We're glad to have you on. Thank you.